Everyone's favorite apocalypse delivery simulator is back with a sequel. Death Stranding 2 on the beach brings back the series' signature style and unique gameplay mechanics after more than 5 years. But there are some major changes in the new game that help it stand apart from the previous generation's efforts. Here are the biggest changes we found between Death Stranding 1 and Death Stranding 2. Let's start with some of the surface-level stuff. In Death Stranding 1, Sam was tasked with reconnecting American cities and communities by traveling across the whole continent, connecting people to the Chiral network. That doesn't need to happen in Death Stranding 2 because, well, it's already done. In Death Stranding 2, you'll be working to extend the network past America's borders and into Mexico, before traveling through a nearby plate gate to then connect the entire continent of Australia. You'll still be crossing rivers, trying not to fall over, and using structures built by other players in the world. But some of the landscapes and climates are drastically different from the first game, and so are the people that you meet. Mate, I hope you're ready to hear a lot more voices that sound like me, which means the only way to fix it is to link up all of Australia. You'll be working with Fragile's new team called Drawbridge. Fragile now has an extra set of hands around her neck for some reason, and a new ship, the DHV Melon. This thing rides the tar currents, thanks to Tarman at the helm, and will also act as your new home and means of fast travel across Australia. This is a much more convenient method of fast travel than the beach-jumping Fragile offered you in the first game. Now, you'll be able to bring all of your materials, equipment, storage, and vehicles with you by storing them on the ship. Cargo for deliveries doesn't fare super well while riding the currents, though, so that's best delivered the old-fashioned way. You can rely on the vessel as a place to find a private room and equipment fabrication whenever you need it. While there was a weather system in the first game, it basically just consisted of rain and not rain. Now, the world feels a bit more alive, with a constant daylight cycle in effect, as well as drastic environmental changes. Rivers will rise in certain areas depending on how much rain has fallen nearby. Gatequakes strike the earth with increasing frequency and severity. Dust storms can obscure your vision and slow you down. Bushfires can even start spontaneously due to Chiral cinders. All of these not-so-natural disasters can damage structures and complicate your deliveries, almost making you wish for the simple threat of BTs on a cloudy day. Almost. When things are calm, though, and you're walking through the outback, you may come across local wildlife. There were no animals to be found in Death Stranding 1, except for cryptobiotes and a flock of birds in the opening cutscene. So it's great to get to know Australia's quirky cast of critters in the sequel. You can even bundle them up and deliver them to an animal sanctuary for safekeeping and observation, which is important because all animals are endangered species in this world now. And yes, don't worry, they can all breathe in their fancy padded cargo boxes while on Sam's back. When it comes to gameplay, Death Stranding's unique style of traversal mechanics is preserved in the sequel, but many aspects of the combat, stealth, and cargo management systems have been added to, adjusted, or completely overhauled. Combat was an option in the first game, but you were heavily incentivized to avoid fighting, lest your cargo was damaged or even stolen. While those risks are still present, there are now so many additional tools and abilities at your disposal, you might start choosing to pick a fight instead. When fighting up close, you can now block or dodge incoming attacks, counterattack, charge at enemies to knock them back, and employ various mid-air attacks. Like in Death Stranding, Director's Cut, you can now equip various electric rod weapons like the ones the mules use. They're great for close-range fights, or even for throwing at foes to shock them from afar. And of course, you can still use cargo carried in your hands to bash people with, or throw at others. To complement Sam's vastly expanded arsenal and combat abilities, there are new and different types of enemies for Sam to fight. Humans are more frequently covered in armor, and BTs have leveled up since last time. Now, larger-than-life watchers dot the Australian landscape. They have a lot more health than the standard gazers from the first game, and will overcome you much faster if they get their hands on you. Mechs are new for the series as well, responding entirely differently than BTs or humans to firearms. You no longer need to craft specific anti-BT versions of weapons either, but different weapons will have varying effectiveness against different types of enemies. So make sure you have all damage types covered if you're heading out into the unknown. Alongside returning weapons like the standard assault rifles, shotguns, bullet gun, and MER pistol, there's now a suite of lightweight weapons that take up less space and are easier to carry. You'll have various decoy grenades and pistols to choose from, plus an expanded category of weapons that shoot tranquilizer rounds. The first game made use of tranquilizer grenades shot from a grenade launcher, which returns here. But now you can also make use of a silenced Tran pistol and a Tran sniper rifle, an entirely new class of rifle for the series. These weapons function very similarly to how they work in Metal Gear Solid, where a headshot will knock a target out instantly, while a body shot works more slowly. Silenced weapons were easy to unlock in the last game, but they're a bit harder to obtain in Death Stranding 2. So make sure you're ready to go loud or stay on the move when you pull an unsilenced weapon out. But let's say you want to approach things more quietly. Stealth infiltration has been greatly improved thanks to the Tran pistol, but takedowns have been simplified too. In Death Stranding 1, you had to have your strand item equipped and at the ready to knock someone out from behind. While you can still do that in 2, you're now also able to simply press the circle button when behind an unaware enemy to bind them in a flash. This means you can move faster behind someone with no more need for equipping the item, aiming and attacking every time just to take someone out. Sam can now tag enemies permanently by looking at them either through compass mode or through observation towers. The towers are best for this, as you only need to look vaguely in the right direction to tag someone, even through walls. But that does cost resources to build. A free alternative you can use, however, is your new companion, Dolman. He's a friend you'll be paired up with when you reach Australia, and you bring him along almost in the same way Kratos brings Mimir in God of War. While he's good for small bits of information or conversation, you can also equip him from the item menu. Toss him into the sky, and just like that, you'll have an airborne view of the surrounding area. He can't tag enemies through walls, but using him to get the lay of the land is invaluable when approaching unfamiliar hostile territory. You can even use him to distract enemies by tossing him directly into the fray. Gone is the iconic trike from the first game. Instead, you'll be using the new Tri-Cruiser as your first vehicle in Death Stranding 2. It may look a bit less stylish, but it's far more practical. Sam can now pick up nearby cargo and materials while driving at speed, thanks to the exposed driver's seat. You could technically pick things up while riding the trike in the last game, but you had to slow down dramatically. For larger vehicles, you still have to get out and collect items on foot. The Tri-Cruiser holds as much extra cargo and attachments as the old trike, and it goes just about as fast, making it a straight upgrade. That's not the only improvement. Because all vehicles now feature an exposed driver's seat, Sam is able to wield firearms while driving. You can only use some types of weapons, but the controls allow you to continue driving with full control while aiming and shooting. It feels incredibly badass. It's a bit of a pat your head, rub your tummy situation, so you might crash, but it's a good option to have when you're in a pinch. Eventually, you'll also be able to construct gun attachments for your vehicles that aim and fire autonomously. This is great for rolling through enemy camps. You can even build a sticky gun that picks up nearby cargo and materials automatically, freeing Sam to relax and enjoy the views. The first game's cumbersome cargo menu has been adapted to make it easier to use. You no longer need to open the full menu just to optimize what Sam is carrying. Now there's a cargo quick menu, including an auto-arrange cargo button. You'll also find quick offload options, allowing you to drop all material containers, offload non-usable items, or even take off your backpack entirely. This is useful if you want to stash your deliveries somewhere safe while dealing with a hostile camp of brigands or a cluster of BTs. And for situations when you do need the full cargo menu, there's a quick access radial wheel to get there too. Road pavers return, letting you create permanent paths for vehicles. But now they're complemented by a new Montreal transportation system. The Montreal system is great for transferring materials, vehicles, and yourself from one major hub to another. Not all roads or rails go everywhere, so you'll need both networks for full freedom across the continent. Zip lines return too, and they're still invaluable for navigating mountains or building shortcuts. You can now use monorail zipline carts at ground level to travel beneath the elevated tracks above. Double the infrastructure means double the materials needed. Thankfully, there are now mines across Australia. You can exchange chiral crystals for essential crafting materials there. Once you've gathered tons of resources, use the DHV Melon or Montreal system to move it all wherever you want. You can even request materials from other players, which is perfect if you're just a few ceramics short of finishing that new road. The 5-star porter system returns, but instead of giving passive stat boosts, it now unlocks A-Pass enhancements, custom perks you can activate or deactivate anytime to tailor your playstyle. These include increased bullet damage, better vehicle handling, auto-driving, floating carrier control, and more. You're limited in how many perks can be active at once, but you can swap them out anytime. Passive stat bonuses are now handled in a separate Sam's Stats menu. You'll gain proficiency in things like carry weight, lung capacity, or weapon handling depending on how frequently you use those mechanics, much like a Skyrim-style RPG. Some small changes worth mentioning: ladders can be connected to double their length, and mechanized holds can now move you automatically up or down. There's a stronger focus on non-lethality, with fewer lethal weapons and no need for incinerators. Now, any distribution center can dispose of corpses. Zip lines are more flexible now, with slight curves allowed. The new Corpus menu simplifies lore, recaps, and tips, accessible even during cutscenes, similar to Final Fantasy XVI's active time lore system. Dialogue choices are now available during cutscenes or NPC visits, letting you decide how deep into a conversation you want to go. Chiral creatures, or CCs, now exist in the world. They're mostly harmless, but will degrade boots, batteries, and vehicles on contact. Finally, Sam now has a portable music player, letting you enjoy unlocked tracks anytime, as long as you're within the network and not in combat.